G'day guys and gal, it's not exactly the surprise of the day that Space Marines are really strong, fast and girthy. They are the super soldiers that conquered the galaxy for humanity and who to this day continue to hold the line against space bugs of death, space elf sodomites, and other more evil Space Marines. Insane that those Space Marines aren't at the top of the pecking order, not even close. Custodes, Eldar Autarchs, Solitaires, Greater Demons, and many other warrior types absolutely wipe the floor with Space Marines. So it begs the question, just how powerful is an Astartes really? Are they worthy of their demigod monikers as the Emperor's Angels of Death, or are they just a mid-tier overhyped super soldier that gets the limelight because they sell more models than the other factions? Before we get started, I hope that I have shown that I'm pretty picky when it comes to what brands I partner with. I regularly use products from the brands I promote and I barely ever work with mobile games, despite getting wildly lucrative offers on the daily. Like, if I just went for it and shelved the small shards of integrity I have left, I'd be absolutely bawling. But I don't because I try my best not to be cringe. Don't always succeed, but you gotta try. So it's a testimony to today's sponsor, Bloodline Heroes of Lithis, that they have broken the mold and are one of the only mobile games I've ever promoted and regularly play. Bloodline first came to my attention when Penguin Z0 first promoted it. He's known as a man of integrity, so it sparked my interest. After playing it, then getting reached out to by the developers, it was a no-brainer to share it with you guys and gal. But what is it? Bloodline is a hero collector fantasy RPG with slick stylized graphics. You build up your kingdom, collect champions, fight battles, and do some other classic fantasy stuff. However, the twist is that you can create your own unique champions by breeding your current ones, or shagging them yourself to create heirs. With these champions, you can then engage in high-octane battles using your champions and their hybrid children. The newest bloodlines to be added are the Titan and Nine-Tailed, two more potential shag buddies. So to pop your own cherry and get started, scan the QR code on screen or use my link below, which will give your random champion a summoning crystal, 100,000 gold, and 100 diamonds, all up worth about 20 bucks. There is also an anniversary event running which is giving out a ton of free rewards, so there has never been a better time to sign up. Cheers to Bloodline Heroes of Lithis for sponsoring this video. Today we'll go over the strength, speed, durability, skill, and war gear of a Space Marine to determine just how powerful they really are. I won't really be distinguishing between Firstborn and Primaris since their abilities are very similar. Let's get into it. Just to quickly get us on the same page, what exactly is a Space Marine? A Space Marine, or Astartes for you fancy fucks out there, is a genetic marvel of a super soldier created by the Emperor. Using his science, girth, and some unloyal hoes, the Emperor created the gene seed, an organ that he could place into a mortal human, most often a child, that would then transform them into a super soldier via it creating over a dozen more super organs. These organs all had different purposes that I've covered in a different video, however they are all very useful, ranging from a second heart, to a third lung, to a saliva gland that they can use to spit literal acid. Space Marines also undergo a shitload of psycho-indoctrination and training to fortify their minds, making them resistant to fear, highly intelligent, and a near unbreakable will. To add to that, they are then given advanced power armor that directly interfaces with their nervous system, as well as a bolt gun, more or less a rapid-fire handheld penetrating grenade launcher. They also come with other fancier weapons, like power swords or plasma guns, whilst their power armor can get pretty serious as we get into the Terminator plate and the like. So with that being said, how strong is a Space Marine? Really fucking strong. In power armor, they weigh about 500 to 1,000 kilos, or 1,100 to 2,200 pounds for you cavemen out there. Out of armor, they would be about 250 to 300 kilos, maybe more. With this in mind, they can lift significantly more than their own body weight. Sadly, we aren't given a gym montage in any of the books or lore. However, if we have a look at Hafthor Bjornsson and his 501 kilo deadlift at around 190 kilos, over double his body weight, we can begin to get an idea. A Space Marine with power armor would be multiple times stronger, having a much better power to weight ratio, hence could easily lift 5 to 10 tons depending on the lift type. This makes them more than capable of flipping cars and shoulder barging tanks without making them retardedly overpowered. Sure, some writers will decide that 40k is an anime and give them obscene feats of strength, but generally a 5 to 10 ton lift is fair and matches pretty well with the lore. It makes them picking up humans with one hand without effort, crushing human skulls without effort, and barging their way through battlefields without drama more realistic. If they were able to lift lift around 50 tons, then they would have the power to weight ratio of 50 to 1, over double the power to weight ratio of an ant, which would just be a bit silly. Being that strong would also make normal life super difficult. You'd be ripping every door off its hinge, handshakes could crush even your fellow Astartes' bones, you'd probably injure yourself just by moving as your body physically can't handle your own power. So lock in 5 to 10 tons as a general lifting capacity, with the occasional outlier for people like Tybros the Redwake or poorly written Ultramarines. This does put them near the top of the food chain for raw strength. Custodes are only marginally stronger, and no Elder comes even close other than a fucking Avatar of Cain or Wraithlord. Not many demons match this either. This strength is why Space Marines are seemingly able to duel and parry blows from much larger opponents. Sure, those opponents are heavier, but they don't have the power to weight ratio of the Space Marines. In Terminator armor, a Space Marine's strength skyrockets even further, but since it's at the cost of agility and speed as well as its uncommon nature, it's not worth diving into. Speaking of which, what about their speed? After all, if they're just strong as hell, you may as well just breed Ogrins instead. Space Marines are fast as fuck, which when combined with their strength is what makes them so overpowered. A part of what makes their armor so advanced is that it enhances their strength and speed. It doesn't reduce it unless they were in Terminator armor. Mortals have described watching a Space Marine duel as blurs, as the warriors engage in multiple blows per second fights. They are able to rapidly move around, even getting behind you shockingly fast. However, they still aren't anime characters. Unaugmented humans can and have successfully dueled Space Marines, even to the death, so the blur description would most likely come from shocked non-combatants rather than actual soldiers. In terms of running or sprinting, Space Marines are scary. They can maintain a pace of 20 kilometers an hour for almost a day, so double the speed of a fit marathon runner for significantly longer periods of time. In battle situations, they can push this to about 60 kilometers per hour for hours on end, and if they really want to go for it, they can full speed sprint at almost 100 kilometers per hour. However, it's noted that at this speed their armor gets damaged and they burn out pretty quick. For context, 100 kilometers per hour is like car on a highway speed. Imagine an armored tank flying towards your lines at 100 kilometers per hour. This is a massive contributor to the transhuman dread. Like sure, Space Marines are already scary, but if they are charging at you over double Usain Bolt's maximum speed, then you're going to shit your pants. People often forget about the speed of a Space Marine and how much this contributes to their power. So whilst their agility doesn't quite match that of an Eldar in a lot of cases, their sprinting ability exceeds them due to their height and length of step advantage. Being strong and fast is cool and all, but if you can't handle a solid kick to the balls, then what is the point? Fortunately, Space Marine balls have all atrophied from lack of use, so at least that's one less vulnerability they need to worry about. Overall, durability is a bit hard to answer though, as Space Marine's out of power armor is way different to within. We will start with their biological durability and then speak about what their power armor adds to that. Space Marine skin is thick, with a lot of C's. Their skin thickness combined with their black carapace, a powerful internal shield over their primary organs, as well as their fused rib cage, means that Space Marines are literally bulletproof, to small arms fire at least. Bullets will literally just ping off them, it's happened in the lore. Due to their mental strength and chemicals coursing through their blood, they are mostly immune to pain and are extremely difficult to incapacitate. Space Marines that lose limbs will often keep fighting as if nothing has happened. Even seemingly fatal shots won't necessarily put them down, as their backup organs will begin to compensate. In saying that though, Astartes are very vulnerable to headshots, as they have no backup brain. Space Marines will be able to endure horrific injuries, resulting in them often placing themselves in a self-induced coma to allow the body to heal. The reason why dreadnoughts exist is because Space Marines can suffer so much damage and still live long enough to be put in them. In power armor, everything is dialed up to 11, especially since power armor comes with pain suppressant injectors for when shit gets really hairy. Space Marine power armor is made of ceramite, a metallic ceramic hybrid that is both great at absorbing kinetic force as well as heat. It's also cut resistant, with chain blades having a hard time finding purchase in the armor. Even standard bolt shells aren't great against it. When the heresy broke out, both sides began modifying bolt shells to become less explosive and more penetrative to be able to go through the armor. Time and time again, the lore has praised the protection of power armor, with Space Marines who go into battle without their helmets to try look cool, generally being called a bunch of fuckwits who get their brains blown out due to the elite accuracy of almost every warrior in the setting. So long story short, you basically have to blow a Space Marine's brains out or shoot them so many many times that they either go into a coma or cause all of their primary, secondary, and redundancy organs to shut down. You can't even really kill them with chemical warfare or radiation either. Their suits are protective against radiation, and even without them, they can resist radiation for a while. Their systems are also highly resistant to poisons, viruses, and chemicals. When a Space Wolf squad was liberating a human world from the Dark Elder, they got shot and stabbed dozens of times with Dark Elder poison weapons. Very potent. They then either shrugged it off or went into those self-induced comas. Pretty much any other poison has little to no effect. Another fun little fact, their blood almost instantly clots, so killing a Space Marine via blood loss just really isn't a viable option. Having all of these physical advantages is great and all, but if you don't have the skill to use them properly, then what is the point? Space Marines are given genius intellect as well as almost photographic memory. Combine that with centuries of training and combat experience, and you have some seriously elite warriors. Extremely accurate marksmen, extremely proficient in most martial arts as well as melee combat. Each Marine is a tactical genius and competent in literally everything, from flying ships, commanding forces, or technical work. After all, if you have nearly all the time in the world to train for years on end, you can pretty much learn everything. There is no such thing as an undisciplined or untrained Space Marine. They are just different levels of elite. When you read about Space Marine versus Space Marine battles, it's never, then the enemy was retarded and easy picking. It's always hard on both sides. The kills are rarely very clean, and each battle is rarely won without solid casualties on both sides. I've mentioned it a decent amount, but how is their war gear? We've already discussed the power armor, but what is a bolt gun really? It's a high caliber semi or fully auto gun depending on the setting that fires explosive rounds that penetrate flesh and armor before then exploding within its target. Mortals shot with bolt guns are guaranteed death as a result of this secondary explosion, although they probably wouldn't even survive the first part. It makes it incredibly effective for bringing down solid targets as well. Overall, fantastic in any situation, hence why it's the Space Marine's go-to weapon. The explosion isn't particularly big either, so you don't need to worry about friendly fire from the shrapnel. There are dozens of different types of bolter ammo, so the versatility really has no limit. On top of this, Space Marines often carry plasma pistols. These guns are Space Marine killers, able to one-shot most Astartes as they melt through ceramite like it's nothing. Chainswords are also commonplace, great for cutting through hordes of enemies, but not great against armored targets. Power swords are much better for killing Space Marines, but they are difficult to create and expensive, so they're usually saved for command units. Space Marines can carry melter guns, flamethrowers, lightning claws, thunderhammers, needle rifles, you name it, they have it. Once again reinforces the versatility of Astartes and how they can be literally used in any and all situations. So with all of that in mind, just how powerful is a Space Marine really? While they aren't as good as Solitaires, Custodes, Greater Demons, or Shadow Sun, they are extremely powerful and much easier to create. Like no shit a handcrafted Custodian will beat a mass-produced Space Marine. No shit an Elder Elite Harlequin handpicked by his god will beat an Astartes as well. But it wasn't the Custodes who conquered the galaxy, it was the Space Marine Legions. They are extremely powerful, able to handle nearly any situation due to their innate abilities, as well as their versatility. They are the perfect balance of an awesome action hero that can achieve a lot of greatness without looking like an anime character. A worthy force to be the face of Warhammer 40k. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then Patreon is the place to be, where there's not only a boatload of Battlemace 40 million hentai, but also a bunch of live action nude cosplay photos. Hit the subscribe button and hit the real subscribe button for more Space Marine content. Join the Discord for more memes, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.